All right, thank you, and welcome to the September PAMA stakeholders call. We will have a stakeholders call in October. I do have both the precinct 11 and 13 police liaisons scheduled to join us for that call. And then in November, we will replace the stakeholders meeting with our annual meeting. So that's kind of an outlook on our next two. And so I wanted to ask Ms. Nancy Sully to give us a little bit of an update on the city programs and specifically the public hearing that's today.
Thank you, Kathy. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Today we have at 5:30, we have a press conference that includes the members of the Council Redistricting Commission, Council President Hardin, and Council Member Remy. It's at 5:30. It's available on YouTube and Facebook. And we'd love for you to come and join us and learn more about their work and a map that's being presented. So hope you all can be there. And thank you, Ms. Kathy, for the time. The press release is on the front. If you would like to receive a copy of the press release, do we have a chat, Kathy, on this?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I will put my email in the chat. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. We're looking forward to that and to seeing how that affects the South Side. All right. So our guest speaker today is sarah.lenkay, and Sarah joins us most months and is the coordinator for Southside Thrive. All right, you need a new light. You're very dark on the screen. There, that's better. Do you want to see if you can share? If not, I will upload your slides for you.
Yeah, I should be able to share fine, but if I end up freezing this week. I haven't had any internet issues in over a month, and now this since Monday, I'm freezing a lot on virtual meetings. So if I go MIA, I'll find my way back.
All right. Yes, you're good so far.
Awesome. Thanks for having me this morning. My name is Sarah, as most of you know. I'm the director of Southside Thrive Collaborative. And Kathy just asked me to provide some information about the collaborative and more specifically, our Southside Employer Network that we convene. Just a bit of background, we are a place-based collective impact initiative. So really what that means is we are focusing on working together and finding opportunities to do that work together to address some community level challenges. And that really focuses for us on how do we advance household stability in the South Side for low and moderate income residents. And we are trying to do that by supporting Southside residents in living healthy, fulfilling lives through the collective efforts of community partners being strengthened. So our work ultimately is focused on improving housing stability, health outcomes, income mobility, and community connections in the South Side. We really try to focus on how do we leverage and align community assets to more holistically support the basic needs of community members, but also ensuring more opportunities in the South Side for community members. Our geographic scope that we target our work on or in is outlined here. It's Livingston Avenue to the north, Alum Creek to the east, Williams Road to the south, and then High Street or the river to the west. And of course, these aren't really set boundaries for people, but it helps us with data collection and just having overall a little bit more focus and intentionality in our work. So like I said, our work is really focused on how do we leverage these different community assets to ensure that basic needs are met and that overall there's more household stability in the South Side. And we focus on, our work focuses on convening a network of health and human service providers, businesses and community-based groups to really try and enhance the communication, collaboration, and service coordination amongst those different stakeholders in the South Side. So like I said, the little chart on the right kind of represents our work, where if we are not collectively working together, no one organization can solve a lot of these community level challenges. We will continue to see things not change, but we do believe that a multitude of investments, partnerships, strategies, and programs and services can collectively turn the trajectory here in the South Side and beyond. So our work really, like I said, focuses on convening stakeholders, working towards shared goals, making connections, building relationships across the different stakeholders, communicating when we can about any best practices around services and programs, and then finding opportunities to do work together. Our work has been formed and has been overseen by what we call a leadership table. These organizations listed here have come together over the last 4 or so years to really provide the overall strategic direction and support to the Southside Thrive Collaborative. They are, a cross-sector group of entities representing the nonprofit sector, and specifically the human service sector, the healthcare institutions, the schools, our public sector, our county and city of Columbus participate in this collaborative, and our business sector. So we really have a great deal of diversity and perspective that we bring together in the collaborative. So one area of work, like I said, Kathy asked me to focus on is our Southside Employer Network. Just for a little bit of context, it's over 60% of our households in the South Side are living below 200% of the federal poverty line. And yet majority of community members are working, just often underemployed and not working in jobs where they're able to earn enough to make ends meet, or working enough hours to provide for their household. And so we had wanted to bring this network together for a few different reasons. And there's been some iterations in the South Side of an employer network that have evolved over time. But one reason we wanted to bring this network together was because we had been convening local workforce training agencies who are in the South Side or targeting their services here in the South Side. And those providers really wanted to ensure that their trainings around soft skills or more technical skills or credentialing services were aligned to the needs of the employers and the realities that employers were experiencing with their teams. And at the same time, we also had several local businesses and employers participating in those convenings. And they shared feedback that, they're very interested in working with community-based organizations, but often found it difficult to navigate who's who, why are you different from the other organization, and wanted to see a focus on results, right? So a lot of organizations try to work with employers to eventually place people after programming into job opportunities, but how do we enhance that people not only get placed, but then they're retained in that company after a training program that they might have completed. And then finally, kind of more collectively and foundational to why we really started the employer network was we recognized as a group of stakeholders that it's not just about someone getting a job to overcome the realities of poverty, but it's about people who can retain their job and not have disruptions like the car breaks down and not communicating to your employer about what's going on, and that they really be on a pathway for upward mobility. And so for us, we really believe that the stakeholders, including employers, can work collaboratively to build more economic prosperity here in the South Side. And then there's an advantage, of course, to the employer where there's better pipelines for recruitment and the ability to retain workers and hopefully avoid the high cost of dealing with turnover. So we started convening the employer network like 3 weeks before the pandemic started. And so it's been a bit of a wild ride since then. We had over 60 people participate in our first convening, which was great. And like I said, we really were quickly aware that this was a valuable space to bring together, because we know, and the people who participated quickly saw how there is an intersection with companies' ability to recruit and retain employees, especially those in entry-level positions, and our neighbors in the South Side who would benefit from some of these better employment opportunities that are available. So we do focus on convening this network as a peer-to-peer employer group. We know that employers don't necessarily want to hear from social advocates on what they should do. And so we found a great sweet spot on employers often shape the agenda and help relay best practices or lessons learned as it relates to this effort around recruitment and retention and advancement of low entry-level employees in the company. So this really, has a win-win opportunity for both us as the collaborative who wants to see more economic stability and upward mobility within with residents who live in the South Side, and then the companies who are based here in the South Side who are looking for talent and looking for new ways to better retain employees within their companies. We also in this network facilitate awareness and connections between the workforce training agencies that are here in the South Side, as well as various, because we started convening right before the pandemic truly started. We've done a lot of outreach and awareness on local social service agencies so that their staff understand, or the employers understand what resources are available in case they have an employee with a need. And last year, I have to say, there were several employees who ended up needing rental assistance because they were furloughed or they were laid off from jobs in the South Side. And we were able to partner with them to help them get rental assistance and then hopefully not only maintain their housing, but be more capable of going back to work when, things started opening up again and companies obviously are in a different position than they were last year. So, so it's been a great win-win opportunity for us all. So we just ask employers who are interested in joining this network, participate in the convenings we host and sign our call to action. The call to action is pretty straightforward. It's a commitment to, one, learn about the challenges low-wage employees face and how this intersects with employee recruitment and retention. We ask that employers then come to participate and share best practices or lessons learned. Again, employers want to learn what is and what isn't working from other employers. So we ask that they come willing to share and engage what they can. Then we ask them to take back what they're learning into their own company and to evaluate opportunities for policy or practice changes within the company that could either remove unintended consequences to entry-level employees or help provide more opportunities to those employees. So one example is how do companies create intentional advancement pathways within the company? So how do you go from being an entry-level worker to potentially a lead in the department to management, so forth? And making clear pathways has been a best practice that many employers have found that not only contributes to better retention in the company, but also, of course, that upward mobility for the individual, and clearly knowing what is expected, whether it's knowledge, skills, or experience, to achieve those advancement milestones. So we ask that companies, participate, and if they're learning about a best practice, that they go back and try to find ways to consider implementation or consider changes in their policies and practices. And then finally, we ask them to connect to local resources that can help them train, attract, and retain talent, and then act on all those different opportunities that we have been lifting up through the convenings. So past session topics, just to give some perspective on what those have looked like. We have talked about the intersection of poverty and employee retention, how mental health in the workplace and what companies can do to create a culture that is supportive of individuals' well-being, and also recognizing, of course, as part of that is that the mental wellness of employees, especially during the pandemic, was very stressed, and how to provide different resources or connections to support their well-being. Our last session had a big focus on staffing and recruitment strategies during the pandemic. We got a lot of positive feedback that it was really an informative session. We've talked about hiring and retaining justice-involved individuals, kind of mutual strategies to meet the bottom line of the company, but also support upward mobility of employees. And for example, that was like the training and advancement pathways discussion. And then, like I said, making connections to local resources and programs that exist here in the South Side. So we are unfortunately not going to be convening any other employer networks for the rest of the year. I'm going on maternity leave soon, and so we'll be resuming sessions in 2022, but we do invite any PAMA partners and stakeholders who are interested in joining to participate in the Southside Employer Network. These are some of the employers that are involved in the network. You'll see that there's a pretty good deal of diversity. We have food service industry, we have manufacturers, we have logistics and warehouses, and then we have, like a Grange Insurance from the financial sector, Nationwide Children's from the healthcare sector. And so we try to organize our convenings to be beneficial to any company, whether they are, a 10-person staff or they have 500 employees. And so that is something that we're proud to be able to offer enough diversity in the work, in the sessions we host, that it is relatable no matter what size of company someone or they are. We just ask and really try to target companies, again, that are here in the South Side. They can also be nonprofits. Of course, our nonprofit sector is often hiring and dealing with the same challenges as our business sector. And we do, like I said, just ask that people sign that call to action to participate in the sessions, to be really fully engaged in the convenings that we're offering for them. These are just some of the workforce partnership opportunities that are available here in the South Side, whether it is to support individuals in getting an adult diploma or their GED, or to participate in like soft skill job training opportunities, or it could be credentialing. We have a lot of great organizations that you can see listed here who are providing these types of programs and services that are really impactful here in the South Side. Just want to call out, because we finally launched our website recently, that one, we have a website, and two, it's not functional yet, but it will have a Southside jobs board on it. And if anyone's company is interested in posting job opportunities, once we kind of get a few bugs worked out, I can happily take any of those job opportunities and get them posted. We are doing some outreach and marketing on the website to drive individuals to use it. We just ask that your company be physically in the South Side area. Like I said, we don't have firm boundaries on what that means. Like Grange is maybe technically not in our area, but it's very close, so we include them, of course. That your position pay above the minimum wage. And we are looking to really make initial connections for people who might not have advanced degrees or have gone to college. So we're really looking for those more entry-level positions, but the company has, that commitment to upward mobility. So that is going to be a new tool that we'll be populating, and invite any PAMA stakeholders to share their job listings with us or point me to where those are, and we can get them added to our website. And then finally, just want to call out the different ways you can connect with us on kind of any platform, carrier pigeon. We would love to stay connected with PAMA and the businesses that you engage. So hopefully that covered what you wanted, Kathy, and I'm happy to take any questions or any other feedback you guys have.
Yes, and I had gone to your website, and I did see there was, I believe, a place on it to sign up to join your mailing list.
Yep.
If people are not already on that mailing list.
Yeah,
thought
I would
was-
ask if a company or business here in the South Side wants to specifically be involved in the employer network, that you can reach out to me directly. Our mailing list is something we do more broadly every 6 weeks or so. It's a great way to stay connected to all things South Side at large. But we do have a separate mailing list for our employer network. So we'll just ask you guys to reach out specifically to be added to both, or just to one of those lists if you prefer.
And so for your previous sessions, is there one good place to go to find the recordings?
No, we don't have like an online repository of session recordings. If anyone's interested in getting copies of materials, or that's where I said, if you're interested in general of receiving those recordings or the meeting slide decks or contacts for the presenters, please just reach out to me. And then if you want to get historical events and sessions, I'm happy to share those, but we don't have an online repository for people to go to.
Okay, because I personally, so I work on the South Side, but I work for an international company that doesn't have an office in Columbus, right? So there's a lot of, kind of home-based workers as well, I would say, probably out there now, especially with the pandemic. And some of the HR strategies and, I think are relevant to any type of an employee, regardless of whether they're an employer per se. So I think if we can get some of this information out to the area commission as well, right? So Curtis is the business at large person. And some of those, thank you, Sarah. Some of those civics do have relationships with businesses directly also. That would help kind of amplify, I'll use that word, right? Amplify your messaging and your reach. The map that you put at the very beginning, do you happen to know what the northernmost street was that cuts through Marion Village, like Thurman or Gates or?
Good question. I can double check. I think it might have been Freebus.
Okay.
I forget. Basically,
It looked like it was below Freebus, but I wasn't sure.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. I can double check. I think it's a small residential street versus kind of a corridor, Thurman Avenue of sorts. Yeah, it's in alignment, Kathy, to the census tract boundary for that area. But I can double check and let you know what that street is.
Okay, and I know, the city is redoing their community reinvestment area boundaries. I don't know, Nancy, if she's still on, if she happens to know. At one time that was on track for August, and it was going to be based on the census data, but then the census data was so delayed. I'm guessing there's probably a new timeline for that. So
Kathy, this is Nancy. I have no information on that at this time.
okay, great. And the city and the county are also, I would guess, fairly big employers of some of our South Side residents. And I saw you had Columbus Works and you had the Jobs Ohio County level, I think, also, especially with the courthouse and a lot of the city and county, kind of buildings where they are, adjacent, if you will, practically to the South Side. I happen to know there's a lot of attorneys, public defenders, and new prosecutors, the young ones, right, that don't make the big bucks, that live on the South Side. There's quite a number, and I think they also have different kinds of needs, right, because of civil service and some of the other kind of requirements. But just it's a kind of an interesting thought when you think about the South Side and how we have a mix of large local employers like Nationwide Children's Hospital, some of the industrial, more industrial type jobs that we have along Alum Creek, or Marion Road or, you know, those kinds of places. And then, you know, there's a whole variety otherwise, I would say.
Yeah, there are a lot of employers in the South Side. And then of course the, you know, accessibility to downtown, to Groveport and larger logistics centers. There are a lot of job opportunities. And one of the things we found in our focus groups from the spring is that there's still a disconnect between awareness of those employers and job opportunities and residents. So that is kind of why we've also tried to develop the jobs board, is to help make those connections easier and start to bring some more awareness to those opportunities. Because, you know, yes, there are a lot of manufacturers in the South Side and more industrial companies, but there's a lot out there. And a lot of these companies, like I said, are at this point, they're, you know, like everyone else, they're struggling to fill positions. And so it's a unique time. And our last presenter was sharing how this is not going to change. So companies should be considering how they are adapting to the new norm and not considering it as a blip in a timeline and we'll just go back to what we were doing, you know, pre-pandemic, but really starting to think creatively. So we do welcome individuals who, you know, their company doesn't fit in the South Side or doesn't want to fully engage in the call to action. That's fine. We welcome individuals who are just interested in the content. And then of course, we welcome a variety of different companies and types of businesses to participate in the network as well.
Yeah, because, you know, if you think about Parsons itself, I mean, we get a lot of small businesses on Parsons. You have the Fort, I saw that was participating, which is also an incubator for a lot of small businesses, which may start with, you know, just themselves as their employees, if you will. You know, but they're, you know, some of their goals are to scale up and to, you know, to grow. I think I mentioned on our last call when we, you know, posted our new space on Parsons, we had a number of home-based businesses that were looking to kind of move into their first, you know, physical public location. And in fact, we have rented our space to someone like that, right? So, you know, they may have one employee, you know, 2 employees, and they'll have the same issues that, you know, the larger employers have competing for, you know, for employees, right? And hiring. And I think this can also be very helpful to the smaller businesses, that outreach that they may not have through, you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
bigger companies. Yeah.
We've heard that about the benefit cliffs. That's been a topic we've done twice now. And that is something that for larger employers, they might have 50 staff persons that are kind of in that income threshold area that they're potentially impacted by the benefit cliffs. So they're thinking about, you know, how do they make policies and practices that could impact those 50 employees. And then we've also heard from smaller companies that have, you know, 2-3 employees that are also dealing with that, and how they're taking kind of that information and doing, you know, their own work on a probably more like education and coaching with employees on that same topic. So that's really where, you know, we do try to organize topics for the sessions that are applicable to companies of various sizes, of various industries. And, you know, it's a work in progress. Like I said, we're employer led in this network. So we're always seeking out input and ideas on what would be beneficial to have at the convening. So, but exactly to your point, Kathy, like that's a topic that impacts small, medium, and large employers across the board.
Yeah, and I just wanted to kind of do a little bit of a advertisement, right, for the benefits of PAMA membership. And we do have members that are participating in some of the Southern Ohio Chamber Alliance benefit plans. and at least 2 that I'm aware of that are not very large, right? So, if you do need help with, HR strategies or legal strategies, or, we do have, we have the ability for PAMA members to, kind of participate in group benefits that they, would not necessarily qualify on their own, but can qualify through like a chamber group. So just wanted to kind of throw that part out there too. Curtis, did you have any questions or thoughts, kind of as your own business person? Or Carla? I know we had Nationwide Children's. We had Romney a couple months ago, I think it was. So, we did cover the Nationwide Children's kind of workforce development programs and so on. So does anybody else or Carly, anyone else have any thoughts for Sarah, or just for the good of the order here?
I do not have any thoughts. I just wanted to thank Sarah for providing her time today for this presentation. Thank you.
And absolutely looking forward to your time, on your maternity leave, and, wishing you all the positive outcomes of that. And we'll look forward to you seeing you again after, or maybe photos in the interim. So, all right, well, I'm going to close early unless anyone has any additional topics to cover. Like I said, we will have a more safety oriented on the South Side presentation in October, and our annual meeting in November. So otherwise, you can reach us on our website or through our email address, or we've also provided Nancy's and Sarah's emails as well. So everyone have a great day, and we will talk to you next month. Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.